Today in the crypto space, we're seeing some good green price action to the upside. Bitcoin right around $110,000, Ethereum right around 2,700, up approximately 5.5%. And the altcoins, a lot of them doing really good. We got Sui waking up, we got ENA, and a few others. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one project that many should be looking at, and that project is called Chainlink. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins. Looking for opportunity, whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with this market, because we are seeing a little bit of green. Market cap is rising. This is what we want to see. We want to see fresh capital come in. However, guys, it's not like we're making higher highs. We're not breaking above the previous high. As you can see, this was the top. We're slowly climbing to the upside, which is awesome. Fresh capital, as I mentioned. And of course, if we start trending upwards, we need to break to the upside and make a higher high. Seeing the market cap rise means that there's market participation. We do see a little bit of volume coming in hot right here after a bit of a sideways over the weekend and over the holiday, of course, yesterday as well. And ultimately, what we're seeing, this market participation come in with some decision, right? What is the decision? Are we buying? Are we accumulating? Are we moving to the upside? What are we doing here? And the market consensus at the current moment is, yeah, we're showing a bit of strength. What can I say? Bitcoin's looking pretty good. Holding steady, though. Going sideways is good. Now, not for Bitcoin necessarily. Of course, going sideways is not bad. At least it's stable. But what it's good for is the altcoins. Definitely. Look at Ethereum, man of the match today, 5.6% to the upside. Yesterday's video was spot on. Guys, if you missed out on that video, I would suggest go check it out. You know, the thesis, the setup is definitely there. Both bearish and bullish case scenario was discussed. And of course, if you took the idea and put it into play at the current moment, you know, we're definitely doing good here for Ethereum. That's all I got to say. And we keep on coming down. You can see the rest of the space is pretty much using Bitcoin as that indicator, like I've always said. We need Ethereum to pump. Without Ethereum joining the party, without Ethereum showing us the signal that the market is willing to get risk on, the reality is that we're not going to see a lot of these altcoins catch bids. But we have been seeing that. As you can see, we have some of the large caps, just a little bit of a pump here. BNB, Solana waking up 2 to 3%, as you can see. Anything Ethereum based right now is doing pretty good. Sui is recovering very nicely, 6.4% to the upside. Good stuff there. I think it's based on the fact that CEDAS has come up with a solution, a resolution. It's coming to community vote. They did talk about restoring all the funds and their plan to restore all the funds and all of that kind of stuff. So maybe the CEDAS news, and even CEDAS got a bit of a reaction to the upside, which is pretty good as well based on the news. So maybe the whole Sui ecosystem can move past this, and we'll just call it an undervalued scenario where you should be thinking about getting in, obviously. Chainlink, guys, we're going to be talking about Chainlink today, and the only reason why, well, not the only reason, but one of the major reasons why is that we have to understand Chainlink's utility and its purpose and its value that it offers the crypto space from a technological perspective. It is the main oracle for all L1s or many L1 contracts out there, contract platforms, particularly Ethereum. So with that being said, we have to understand that if Ethereum does well, the altcoins, the smart contract platforms do well that use Chainlink. Do you think Chainlink is going to do well? That correlation could exist. And this is how we speculate. We find narratives, we find edge. And currently, I think that Chainlink is a scenario where it deserves attention, 100%. Let's take a look at a few more here. We have AVAX holding steady very nicely. A lot of these projects are getting a little bounces. Again, anything Ethereum related, whether it be wrapped Ethereum or even the DEX, I wonder how Uniswap is doing. We're doing pretty good. Now, Monero is reversing here, and it could be because, you know, we're seeing the market get active, and maybe there's an inverse correlation between Monero. If you know what Monero's utility is, you might agree, but you can see that anything Ethereum based is still looking very, very spicy, right? Looking very nice. Aave is doing good. Uniswap, okay, maybe it's going to wake up. It has been doing good, but Uniswap is a good indication that there's on-chain activity happening, swapping happening on Uniswap, and of course, as the main Ethereum-based DEX, it could be a good indication, but so far, nothing major. And as you keep on scrolling down, there are some good gainers, some of them going sideways, but generally speaking, with the most concerning thing, or not concerning, the most, the thing that we've been focusing on is the Bitcoin dominance. Now, tonight at 8 p.m. EST, we're going to be talking about the Bitcoin dominance. We'll be talking about what we could expect here in the crypto space regarding Bitcoin and its dominance, because at the current moment, it's looking like it's losing its dominance to the altcoins. Now, is it going to be a sustainable thing? Or are we going to see this, actually become a scenario where we see an altcoin season? Nobody knows. Nobody has a crystal ball, including myself. But we're definitely going to go over the possibilities and the statistical probability of achieving these goals, which, of course, a lot of us, our goals are oriented around altcoins. Us degens, we've definitely been accumulating. So we got Injective looking good, and many others, as you can see, 5% here and there. And the majority of the market is green. I would say 3, maybe 4% average, more or less, but we're doing pretty good in comparison to Bitcoin. That's what we have to really understand. Now, is this the beginning? Possibly the beginning of the altcoin season that we're waiting for. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about charts, so let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with Bitcoin. Bitcoin on the daily is still in this uptrend, guys. What can I say? It's the reality. However, you can see that it's hesitating. Now, its hesitation is not very clear on the daily because it's still in an uptrend. We could still go for higher high. We could still go sideways. We could still roll over. The reality is it doesn't matter. What we do see, factually speaking, here on the daily is that we've been consistently making higher highs and higher lows. Okay, so no real change in direction here. And if you look at the previous highs, you can see that we're basically dangling at these levels, of which we used these levels previous as support, so as resistance. So this is what we really want to see, is gain some support at these levels so that we can use it as a benchmark or a springboard where we can bounce off this level and continue. But in the meantime, when we do see Bitcoin go sideways, it is a perfect condition for individuals to say, you know what, Bitcoin's not showing the strength. Bitcoin is just hanging out here. Bitcoin is kind of boring. In the meantime, let me go and speculate on where the assets are that are moving. And that's where the altcoin market goes, right? That's where we look at the altcoin market. Now, if you look at the lower time frames, we do see Bitcoin in the chop zone. Does Bitcoin get oversold? That's a bit of a concern, obviously, for a lot of us, that it does come down. And it's possible, guys. That's the bearish case scenario. We break structure, we come down, we make a lower low right into here. As you can see, it's very, very possible that we come down below here and snap to about 97. But that would kind of put a damper on the thesis of an altcoin season, to be honest, because that negativity that Bitcoin brings is going to cause a lot of emotions, and it's likely that we see a sell-off on the altcoins. However, if Bitcoin goes sideways, the thesis remains, valid, that people are comfortable with the Bitcoin price. It reached a nice level of, fair value at the current zone. And ultimately, we go sideways for a bit, and altcoins take full advantage of the catch-up opportunity. Is that possible? 100%. Is it possible that we break out and Bitcoin continues? That's also very possible. So what I like is to say is that as long as we see Bitcoin hold some stability into this level, we could definitely start pivoting our attention to some more risk-on assets like Ethereum, like maybe some Solana, maybe some Sui, maybe some AVAX, maybe some Cardano, and we keep on, the list goes on. And obviously Chainlink. That's what we're covering today. So ultimately, Bitcoin is giving us some strength, at least going sideways. Now let's take a look at Chainlink. What's Chainlink up to? If you look at the daily, Chainlink ultimately hasn't really done much so far. It's not like it left the station. It's not like you're buying tops and you're buying green candles and pumps. Yes, you're not buying bear market bottoms, right? This was the optimal level. Why? Because this is where you can invalidate your thesis and get out if it decides to roll over. Well, it didn't roll over, guys. The reality is we were able to get in at a good level. And in fact, this is where we were able to de-risk. And this is where, again, we came down to a good level of accumulation, green arrow, suggesting opportunity and volume gap opportunity, obviously. And here we are. And then all of a sudden, yeah, we're looking for a nice change of character into this place. And this space right here, you can see the change of character is working beautifully. We're slowly getting that pivot point structure via supply and demand. You can see lower lows and lower highs, a lot of sell pressure, more supply versus demand, obviously. And then as we continue here, you can see that at one point, the market said, I like the value, I like the price, and I'm going to buy more aggressively. And this is why when you start to see the price and the chart showing that demand is outperforming supply. And this is how we make an uptrend. So no longer are we making lower lows and lower highs. We are now getting higher highs and higher lows. Now, the question is, could we still come down to these levels, produce a higher low, and continue to the upside and maintain the uptrend? And it's very possible, guys. We see these all the time, these type of shakeouts that come down, sweep these lows, and find support on the next bottom. And still, from a big picture perspective, considering that this was the low, it's still a decent, maybe 0.5 Fibonacci or a golden pocket retracement, and then we move up and continue. But in the meantime, you got to admit, as long as Ethereum is showing strength and the Bitcoin dominance is falling, we are going to see a lot of individuals speculating into the altcoin space, beginning with projects that are at the top of the scale with regards to market cap. And Chainlink, given that it's diverse, it's a little bit diverse, it's an oracle, it's not just a typical L1, its value proposition is value, providing data feed for various projects, and so on. And many of us, are still speculating on altcoins. Now, should you be diversifying your portfolio in such a way that it includes an oracle, so that you're well diversified? This is definitely a viable thing to think about, right? Chainlink is used amongst many L1s out there for smart contract purposes. Now, if that's the case, did you miss out on a potential move? No, you didn't. Yes, you're not buying the absolute bottom right here. Yes, you're not buying the bear market bottom. I get it. But you are also not buying tops, and you're not buying tops. And what's more important is you got to ask yourself, if you buy into these levels, are you actually given the opportunity to reduce your risk? Meaning, could you invalidate your bullish thesis? Right now, we think that this is a reversal. There's no guarantee, right? And because of that, we need to have a bit of risk management in our thesis and our setup to ensure that just in case if things go wrong, let's say all of a sudden we roll over here and look how it's possible, maybe we come down to this level. What are we going to do about it, right? What are we going to do about it? Guys, we need to put some stop losses. Your invalidation is below this low. If it breaks below that low, we're in trouble. Not a serious trouble, but enough to suggest that we might come down and hunt this liquidity at about 8 to, maybe on average at about $7. Okay, that's very possible, like right in the thick of this, and maybe even range lows to $5. Do I think that's going to happen? Again, it's a game of probability. I think that statistically speaking, that is not going to happen. But again, I don't have a crystal ball. So we need to be prepared for the scenario that it can. And again, the stop loss underneath these levels is ideal. In the meantime, how are you going to find your entry? Now, you can get on lower time frames. You can say, well, Mike, that stop loss is way too far away, right? In order for me to get stopped out, I have to endure a 35% dip, which is significant, and I get it. Now, if we start looking at this current structure, and we're going to have to do it on lower time frames, if you're going to be tighter on your stop loss, we're going to have to get onto the 6 hour, and you can see that ultimately the 6 hour has been making higher highs and higher lows, but this doesn't look nice. This lower high right into here. As you can see, that lower high confirms that possibly if we break these lows, we come down for a lower low. And if that's the case, guaranteed, it's coming down to a level of which it's going to hunt some liquidity. And that level could be right around this level, right? That's the truth. Now we're going to be in a bit of a retracement, a bit of a downtrend. And then we could come down, sweep around these levels, maybe come and hunt some of this, some of this, some of this, and then get the bounce. So lower time frames ultimately is not bad, but we have to understand that it needs to stay up above this double bottom right here. Now, before we get into oscillators, guys, we'll definitely take a look at the oscillators. Synergy signal is what they're called. I have links in the description. I'll introduce you to them in a second. But as you can see, what we really want to do is hold up on these double bottoms above the 200 EMA on the 6 hour. That is key. There is liquidity here, but this supporting this trend to the upside is much more important than supporting this downtrend to the downside that is clearly so far a retracement. Okay, so that's that. Now let's take a look at oscillators here on the 6 hour. You can see what we're stuck in the chop zone. We were overbought. We're stuck in the chop zone. I don't like the chop zone because literally what it does is it goes sideways. However, guys, I would like to consider that if we do get a bearish response that has enough strength, it's likely that we see this thing come down. It's likely, right? We have to understand that that's possible. However, on a bearish response, or even in this bullish bullish response, right, we can go up a little bit higher and still have a bearish response that does not make a lower low. We do not want to make a lower low under any circumstances here, because it's not going to be good, because then again, we're looking for other levels of interest, which are down here, and so on and so forth. But the question is, do we actually get a bearish response that makes the purple line, which is the momentum, get oversold as well? And if that's the case, you're going to potentially see the price come down, and we need to be cognizant of that fact, that we have to anticipate dips. Now, if we do look at the momentum, the trend oscillator, EMAs are facing up with green histogram bars. It's not bad on the 6 hour. Is it in the bullish control zone? No, it's not. So it's a bit choppy, as you can see, a bit indecisive here on the 6 hour. We're going to jump into the daily in a second. You're going to see that there's going to be a totally different mentality. But if you're looking for entries, again, this whole zone right in between, I would say $15 all the way down to about, even the bottom to about $11. These are all accumulation levels, and this is where you invalidate that accumulation level, because if it breaks down, we don't know how low we're going to go. So this is why you need to make sure that your position size can handle accumulating with the zone without overdoing it and increasing your position size so much that you're taking too much risk. You're not here to gamble. You're not here to take risk, guys. Okay, so that's that. Now let's take a look at the daily real quick. The daily, ultimately, you can see that we have one more leg that we could potentially get that could be epic. I mean epic. And the why I say that is because we haven't really gotten overbought in a big way. Okay, the data suggests that if we get overbought and we get above the 70 mark, okay, we are going to see the price move. Now, if we also get momentum in confluence and volatility in confluence, volatility pushing up and momentum also pushing up at the same time, it is likely that we finally expand out of this, a change of character structure with some aggression, with a little bit more volume and a little bit more strength to actually hit some real good targets. I'd say $23 is very possible, and even as high as about 26, which introduces the previous high. And then after that, we really need to stop and think about what happens next, because that's a great milestone in the short term. But again, if you look at the 6 hour and the 4 hour, there's a lot of data suggesting that we need to prepare for support slightly lower. Guys, we're midweek pretty much, and this is usually when the magic happens. And again, there's no certainty here, but reality is that Chainlink, all in this level, including right now, is pretty much at a discount. I want you to take a moment and zoom out and take a look at the chart even on the weekly and see what are we really talking about. We're talking about price action that has made higher highs and higher lows since the bear market bottom. Despite what's been happening in the market, Chainlink has been holding up very nicely in comparison to other charts. So you're not buying in a weak asset that can't hold its own. It definitely holds its own. You're definitely buying a bottom range. You're not buying a top range. You're not buying the absolute bottom, but you're close enough. And if you can get your average entry as close as possible to the bottom, I think that's a viable scenario, because again, the stop loss at about $9.35 will definitely benefit you, because if it does come down, we don't know how low we go. But the bullish side, as you can see based on the chart, is definitely there as well. So from a risk to reward ratio opportunity, your risk is mitigated by getting close as possible to invalidation, and then obviously the upside potential is there, and we'll definitely talk about the upside potential once we see this thing start expanding. Expect an update here on the channel, on the Discord. Feel free to check out that Discord. It is absolutely free. I don't ask for anything, and in addition to that, if I've offered you any value right here on this channel, on this video, do the channel a massive favor, slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.